Marianne is a very fiery fairy, if you will. She starts off very naive, very kind of wispy and sweet, and she gets her heart horribly broken and then just swears off love and becomes very kind of hard and kind of like a rebel, and I would say that's Marianne.
Well, I play a character called Stuff, and I had no idea what the character looked like. And then when the director, who is pretty spectacular, by the way, showed us our characters, it had two effects on me. One, Stuff is the freakiest looking gargoyle, some kind of I don't know what it is, and my voice fit right in. I always thought my voice was weird, but I didn't think it was good for that. But it is. That's the way that thing would talk.
I really liked the idea of being able to sing songs that were not not original songs, and I was excited to work with Marius. I think he's a great, I know his work from friends of mine. I worked with him as a producer and as a writer and things, and so that was really exciting. And also just to play someone, so different to me, obviously, but just vocally he's very different to me and to what I normally have done in these sorts of films. So I think it's always nice to do things when people kind of, throw you something that that you don't expect, and it's kind of a challenge and sort of fun, and I really like doing these things.
Griselda is the Bog King's mom. She's in love with love. She loves love more than any creature on the planet, I think. She's a matchmaker at heart, and just like any overbearing mother, she wants to see her son happy. But I think just the idea of love alone and the romantic quality that it would bring to her daily existence makes her even happier. So she's the world's biggest cheerleader for love.
Roland is quite a character. He's the kind of anti-Prince Charming, in a sense. He presents himself as this southern gentleman with class and sophistication, and uses lovely long words that he likes the sound of to make himself feel a little more intelligent. And sort of undercuts himself really with desire to rule and desire to have the beautiful woman on his arm, and ends up making some pretty poor Prince Charming choices to make that happen.
Dawn is the younger of the two sisters in the movie, and she doesn't really have a lot of responsibilities yet in life, so her main focus is sort of her friends and boys, and her relationship with her sister. That's pretty much Dawn's whole world.
Sonny is he's Dawn's best friend / love interest / little pack of dynamite. He's a very frantic character. He messes stuff up only to want to fix it back again. And I think I consider him the heart and the through line of, the story, and, wanting everything to just go right and Dawn to fall in love. And when everything is wrong, he's there. But when everything is right, he's there.
My character is a large. You could say he's a large man, a large person. I like to describe him as enthusiastically overweight. That's. I like to put a positive spin on it, but it does. It does rather curtail his physical dexterity, and there's some very funny stuff when, he's trying to be the king and he's trying to kind of take off, with these gorgeous wings. But he's a big guy. He's carrying a lot of baggage, shall we say? But that's that's part of the fun about it.
Our two main characters are as different as they can be. So we have Bog King, played by Alan Cumming, and Marianne, played by Evan Rachel Wood, and from two different forests, two different worlds. One's a fairy princess, and one is just kind of this ugly, scary ruler of the dark forest who doesn't want anyone to come into his world and is very, very scary. And so they're at odds in the front part of the movie, and then they eventually learn something about each other that they didn't know.